Hello and welcome to our Travel for Change series. My name is Jill Valentine. I am the founder of Yugo Impact and transformational travel coach. And today I have here Jess Johnson, one of our past participants who participated in two of our transformational travel experiences. Jess joined us in Puerto Rico back in 2018, and then again came on our Courage Community Kilimanjaro program in 2019. For those of you who don't know what a Yugo experience is, Yugo takes life coaching, marries it with volunteering abroad, a little bit of adventure, and creates transformative travel experiences. So we do some group coaching online before we go on a trip. We spend about a week to 2 weeks in a country, fully immersed in the community, giving back, usually doing some kind of physical work. And then often there's a little bit of adventure or fun. And that might be a single day, as in Puerto Rico, or it might be a whole week, like it was in Tanzania, where we climbed Kilimanjaro. And then we return home. And again, we do some more group coaching and help people integrate back into their familiar lives. And that's a Yugo program. So, Jess, what drew you to sign up for Yugo and the Yugo programming?
Well, at the time, I was going through a huge transition in my life. I was getting out of the Army, or I'd just gotten out of the Army, and I was pivoting from my, my 15-year as a career as a social worker and therapist, and pivoting into my own journey with entrepreneurship and coaching. And I have always been a big traveler. I've always been a big adventurer and a big humanitarian. And I just think that travel is so important in order to get out of your own bubble, to see it, to gain a new perspective on the world. And being able to do that during a time of transformation and transition for myself just helped kind of spark new ideas for the impact that I want to make on the world going forward.
Love it. Perfect. My usual question is like, so where were you in your life? And you just already shared that. So that is fabulous. So tell me a little bit of what your experience in both Puerto Rico and Tanzania was like for you.
Puerto Rico we were there working in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, and I had done some significant hurricane response before, but usually the disaster response that I do is in the direct aftermath. And so it was really interesting being able to be in Puerto Rico, because I think we were there, what was it, like a year after Hurricane Maria, and being able to immerse ourselves in that community. It just felt different. And I did not expect the transition from the military to be as difficult for me as it was. I had lots of stories in my head around, just kind of diminishing my time in service. And I think that first trip, being able to be surrounded by all these like-minded people making impacts, just really helped me be able to see them in a certain light, which helped then me turn that on myself too. And I think that is a direct result of not only just going on a trip, because anybody can just volunteer, but having the coaching and the processing along with that. That's what I love about Yugo, is it's more than just let's just go have this adventure, let's just go travel somewhere. It helps you understand maybe some of the things that you see that are out of the ordinary than you see every day, and help you process how to bring those new perspectives into your everyday life. And so I think that first trip just really helped me to kind of build into that transition that I was going through. Kilimanjaro was, again, I was still kind of in the midst, because these two trips were just a year apart.
I don't even think they were a full year. They were like August and then January.
Exactly. I genuinely learned things about myself on that mountain that I think about to this day, and it's 6 years later. I've always been, I joined the Army when I was 32, and I dropped out of college. But then when I went back, or I got kicked out of college, but when I went back, I was on like the dean's list and like just did an advanced standing program. And I've always been able to give myself credit for being like mentally tough and being able to pivot to things and have new adventures and choose new adventures. And I've until like summit night, which I really struggled with, to my surprise. I I just learned how physically tough I am as well. And again, that's just something I think about every day. In my own practice now, I just think being able to give yourself credit and celebrate yourself is fundamental to just living a joyful life. And that journey for me really kind of began there.
Amazing. So, what would you say was the most surprising um, about either of the experiences or both of the experiences? What surprised you the most, whether it was about the place, about the people, or yourself?
I mean, I think coming back, what surprised me about myself was being able to, again, push through incredible physical discomfort. Of the 12 people, there were, I think, four of us who were pretty physically active. Like I am a CrossFitter. I have been for, God, 15 years now. And I hike a lot. I'm pretty outdoorsy, and I think the three of us, with the exception of you, the three of us that were like kind of the stronger people who were used to hiking and blah blah blah, we all struggled the most. And I think a little bit of that was like kind of our ego. I know there was like halfway through where Nicole and I kind of picked up the pace a little too fast, and like yeah, that was the day we both got sick. And so I think this is another thing, to put it more succinctly, that I think about a lot, and I know I've posted about this too, is that you realize that you need support, right? And I think that that is something that people struggle with. We have lots of stories about how easy it is for us to want to help other people, but not accept help for ourselves. And I think the thing with that is there were, these 12 incredible women and one guy, Nizam, who's there with us. And we were all there together, leaning on one another, helping one another, both physically and mentally and emotionally, get through that trip. But you still have to take the steps yourself. And it just really helped me embody that fundamental lesson right there. Is it's not weakness asking for help. It's not weakness surrounding yourself with support. You are still doing the work. It's not you copping out. It's not you shirking responsibility or doing something less than. In fact, I think that is the strongest thing people can do, because when you think about how scared people are of doing that and how important it is, again, that's something I think about all of the time.
I love that. And I absolutely agree. I think the group on the mountain, like you could do it alone. Like you know what I mean?
But
But
why?
yeah, but why? I mean,
Not going to be as fun.
yeah. And it just did make it just that much more, like, I don't want to say easy, but it made it so that you had support. And I think that like, I feel the same all the time. I'm just like, yeah. And it wasn't like, you're asking and people, like, I just felt like there was such this natural desire to help as well, which almost made it easier. And I think, when we choose people in our lives, like the idea of choosing people who will champion you, who will support you, and all of that kind of stuff, I think is so important. And I agree that we all love to help. So many of us are helpers, and yet we struggle to ask for help. I think that's so very true. And so I love that part. I love how you're ahead of me. My next part was going to be like, how was the camaraderie? How did that impact things?
I do have more to say about that too, that I think is so important to say in the context of where we are in the world right now, 2025. I'm a US resident or Canadian. I think like a lot of what the work obviously do is in Canada. Something that I love not only about this trip, in traveling in disaster response, is that it's so easy for us to sit in our homes and watch the news and be on social media and get so riled up, get stuck in this state of fear and mistrust of others, making these assumptions, putting everybody in these political colors like red and blue terms, and like be scared of others or make lots of inferences or assumptions about people in the world. And what I find through travel, through trips like this particularly, is that it's really hard to hate somebody or like hold on to that anger or hold on to that fear when you are working with alongside of somebody and you are like truly seeing how much they care about other people, and they're doing it through their actions versus their words. And I think we can get very caught up right now in words and what we read instead of like talking to one another and having experiences and being able to understand the world is not as black and white as we
Mhm.
think it is often.
Oh my goodness. I completely agree. I love that you brought that up. We are very polarized right now. And I talk about this all the time. One of my happiest places is being together with amazing people in contribution and in community. And I agree that it's one of the best ways to break down barriers, to come and feel that common humanity that we all share, being beside people. And it's like there's mutual struggle and there's seeing people helping and doing, like, contributing to the better world. And it's just one of the most beautiful things that can bring us together.
We have different things to talk about, right? I think
Mhm.
like sometimes right now we get so stuck in like what is the default when you're meeting a stranger and you're just like, all right, like blah, and you just tend to like read verbal diarrhea, whatever we've seen on social media, which is the news, but like being able to do stuff like you're typically that's not what you're thinking of right hand. You're thinking like you're the typical questions that people are asking each other on first meeting are almost automatically cutting through the small talk, right? Because you're like, why do you does service matter to you? Why did you choose to be part of this program? And those answers are so much deeper and um, allow you, I think, just much more quickly to see inside of somebody and give you yourself more to think about. And you just realize there's so much more to talk about in the world and relate to other than things we just see on social media, whether that is politics or not.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I absolutely agree. And I mean, that's why I do what we do, like, because I'm so aware of, one, the natural transformative nature of travel, like
Mm-hmm.
getting away from your routine and familiar, going somewhere, immersing yourself in another culture, being somewhere out of your comfort zone with other people, and then also the naturally powerful impact that service can have. And so when you like mesh that all together and then you include the coaching to just allow the space to process and reflect and everything like that, I think it's an incredible opportunity. I was interviewing someone earlier today and they said, yeah, we felt like a family. And I'm like, yeah, because
Totally.
there's just such a closeness and bonding that happens through that. So
Yeah.
absolutely. Mhm. Exactly.
Just fun even when you're doing, I mean, you said, oh, we maybe after the volunteering we'll do like a day of fun or like maybe it's a week or whatever. No, the whole thing is fun, right? Like it
Very
really
true.
is. I mean, the memories I have of, and our group other than museum was all women, and the memories I have of Nicole teaching those men how to like properly mix the concrete, but everybody really working together and us learning like different ways of doing things that we've never thought of and vice versa was just so fun. And the way I felt everybody was so respectful of things. It wasn't us coming in being like, oh, you're doing that wrong. This is terrible. Like it was like working together to see things, and everybody just took it and asked questions. There was curiosity on both sides, even despite like major language barriers.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny, I talk to people about Kilimanjaro and they're like, oh, it's on my list and da da da. And I'm like, listen, if you're ever going to do Kili, like, do it with a group, whether it's our group or not. I'm like, it changes things. I climbed with one person my very first time and we like walked up the mountain, had a couple little chit chats and like, that was it. And I was like, our experience with 12 people just profoundly changed because you're with 12 people like singing and dancing up the mountain. Like it was, I mean, not quite summit night, but singing and dancing the
There
rest
was
of the
no
way
singing
up.
and dancing on summit night.
Yeah, no, there was no
Definitely not
dancing.
for me.
No. And I equate that to like so many things. You like the week of volunteering. It's, again, you can go do it on your own, but when you go with people and are, together and immersed and just focused on like a goal together, I just think it adds like just such much more depth and richness to your experience. So
Yeah, I mean, humankind is built for connection, and we've so gotten away with that from that. I mean, we have been creeping away from it for forever, but then particularly with social media, and as we were talking about even before off camera, recovering from COVID. Like COVID really did. I think people might not even be realizing just how much the impacts of the pandemic are still having on us, even today. Think about how much more used to we are just being in our homes and doing everything online, and having like human connection outside of our homes is so important.
Absolutely. So, like, what would you say has stayed with you the most from your, you can say Yugo experience or Yugo experiences, something that you think about often? You've touched on a few things, but I'm curious if you were to sort of say, like, what is something that has stayed with you the most?
I think the main things are what I already said. Number one is truly embodying that lesson of having support and help doesn't, and like, I know you struggled with that, finding that word too. It's not like it's easier. It's still hard as shit, right? Like,
Yes.
but it's more fun. It's more connecting. It does something. It changes something in your brain, like having that around you. And then, but also being able to give yourself that credit. But like, I'm still doing this. There is something in there for me, really wrapped up in there, because I think that lesson is so important to know. Asking for help is not weak. It's getting support. Having that support system is the most important thing you can do for yourself. If anything, it points even more to your strength, because it's so scary to do that. And then also you're still doing the work yourself. So it's not about not celebrating you for doing those things. And another thing that I haven't mentioned that I think about pretty often is being able to really listen to one another. We just live in this society where we're told we have to get things out very quickly and like speak very quickly and be busy, like have this busyness as a badge of honor. And I remember one time we were having a conversation, and you had asked Maggie, who we do a lot of the work with, who's in Tanzania. And she kind of, when she answers questions, there's a lot of storytelling and backstory. And I kind of remember somebody kind of trying to hurry her along, and her being like, no, you asked me a question. Here's how I answer. But I just thought it was so beautiful. And that that just really has made an impact on me. I'm not even realizing how much until this moment, since you asked this question, because so much of my life and my work around with coaching is helping people slow down and do that. And I think that really what that seed was planted, watching that interaction, and watching Maggie just stand her ground and say, like, you know what, you don't ask a question you don't want the answer to, and you don't want the answer to in the way I'm going to respond to it. And I just thought that was really beautiful. Watching a woman kind of stand in her power and be like, nope, I've got something to say. You're going to hear all the backstory of it. And then as well as that, just remind her to like slow down and listen, and really listen to what other people are saying, not just their words, but the sentiment, the stories, the emotions behind that.
Absolutely. I love that. Maggie does have so much to share.
Mm-hmm.
And she does. She will give a long story, but there is so much wisdom in it and everything. So I love that. You're right. I do feel our society is like, give me the Coles Notes version, like give me the like bullet point answer. And yeah, when we're there, I feel like time just slows down, and you can just be more present and mindful, and just everything just unfolds slower. I think we talk about that in time, even like we bend ourselves to accommodate time, whereas in other cultures they actually bend time to accommodate themselves. And I was like, yes. And that's Maggie. She's like, we might need to be somewhere in 5 minutes, but I'm going to tell you an answer that might take 10. We'll just figure it out. Like I love that lesson. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. And so interestingly, you brought up something, and it made me think about the impact that coaching can have. So you sort of said, until you asked me this question. And so I'm curious, what would you say that, how did the coaching impact your journey on either of the experiences?
Well, yeah, I think that without the coaching, you're left to kind of muddle through things on your own. And it's easier to go have your experience and then come back and fold right back into life. With the coaching, the prep coaching going on the travel, like you're mitigating some of the anxiety that people often have around meeting new people. So you're getting to know them. You're planting those seeds, and you're starting to think about intention instead of like getting there and feeling like not only do you have to get used to being in a new country and a new culture and climate, whatever it is for you, and then understand this intentionality thing, but you've already had those seeds planted. Perhaps you've even seen it modeled through some of the Coach U or other people who are in there. While you're in country, you're learning and processing as you go as well. So those stories do stay with you and those lessons do stay with you, and you make decisions before you leave, and then you have that support afterwards that help you to actually kind of be accountable to remembering. Here's why I felt this sense of peace, that maybe it's peace for me, maybe it's something for somebody else, but feeling that sense of peace, that sense of quiet that allows you to start building those intentions and understand what that's like, so that when you go home and integrate back into home, you're able to bring that with you instead of just get back there and, have all the best intentions and then have them go away. You have that support throughout. You're learning what it looks like beforehand. You're really practicing it when you do have that time. And then you have the support when you come home, because there's still that coaching to kind of help you tweak and make it yours within the world that we live in, because it might not be super realistic to, of course, come back to a capitalist society and, immediately like start doing those things, but being able to take your autonomy and your agency and knowing this is what it's going to look like for me here. And yeah, it's uncomfortable because other people maybe weren't there with me and didn't have this experience with me, don't understand why this was so important because they've never felt it, but that's okay, because you have the coaching that's going to help you continue to process that while you're home. And you're still going to have those lifelong friends and support built in. So when you have the days where you need to have that touch point again, it's just a phone call or a text message away.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's why I do what I do. I do think it's such a valuable piece, but I love hearing, from actual participants how it supported you. So that's fabulous. So yeah, my final question is, what would you say to someone who is considering, whether it's a Yugo program or some other kind of transformative travel experience? What would you say to someone who is in that sort of consideration phase?
Just encourage them to take the leap and do it. You can spin out in what ifs and fear all the time. But if you're considering a program like this, there's a part of you, probably a huge part, that wants to do it. Do it. What have you got to lose? Probably a whole lot of baggage and drama and stress, and that's worth it. So
amazing. Oh my goodness. Honestly, thank you so much. I love these interviews. They're like little trips down incredible memory lanes.
Totally.
Yeah, those were two just amazing, incredible experiences. And I love that you did them literally back to back.
Yeah.
And what I love is that you found, benefit. It wasn't like, oh, I've done that. So, the Puerto Rico, it was all done and I'm all good. Like, the second program was also, it sounds like, very impactful as well.
That's another thing I will say real quick that I think is important, right? I used to be a therapist. I am a coach myself, still did this trip. Sometimes people get in like, no, I have to do it by my own, or I have to run my own trip. No, let it be easy. Do something just for you and let it be fun. So I'm a coach, I'm a humanitarian, and I'm an adventure traveler. And this was all still felt new and different to me. So don't think just because, I've done volunteering before. Like, I am an avid volunteer still to this day. It's a huge part of my life doing disaster response work. And this was still different. Like, and you mentioned Nepal next year. Now I'm like, ooh, what have I got on tap next year? Don't think just because I might be doing these things, this isn't for me. It absolutely is. And again, if any part of you is nudging towards, I'm kind of interested in that, like, give yourself an opportunity to, sorry, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
Look around and find out, and like, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to come out of that a better version of yourself.
I love that. And yeah, I'm the same. I'm an adventurer, all the things. And I still sign up for other people's programs that take me on adventures and just allow me to have a space where I can do the discovery and all of the things.
Totally. And that helps me be at my best for everybody else around me. That's what makes me an excellent coach, right?
Exactly. And obviously, oh my gosh, it'd be so amazing if you came to Nepal next year. Yeah, November 2026. It's in the works. We'll be volunteering with an amazing organization at sort of the base of the Everest region. So it'll be in the mountainous, beautiful area. So I'll
All right,
share
Jill,
the
seed
details.
planted.
Anyways, I cannot thank you enough. It was so lovely to connect and to hear about your journey with us. And even after all this time, I
Yeah,
love hearing how it's impacted your life. And yeah, so thank you so much.
yeah, totally. Thank you.